Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today we bring you one of the masters of Mercedes automotives, the W126 SEL. This is quite an outstanding car. It was produced between 1979 and 1991. The 12 years of production made this car produce nearly 900,000 units in the sedan version, and that has made it one of the most successful production S-classes ever made. And for that to be up to date with all the new S-classes that have come out and how amazing they are, for this to be the one that was produced the most and made Mercedes the most money out the S-Class as well, what can I say? It's quite a masterpiece. We'll show you around the car, we'll have a look at it. It's not every day we get to see a car like this. I mean, just look at the size of it. It's over 5.1 meters long and it's an absolute monster of a car. This particular one has had the AMG body kit put on it, and it has 18-inch mono black AMG wheels which have been powder coated in gunmetal grey. But we'll show you around the car, have a look around, and then we'll show you the interior, see what you think, and then we'll take it for a little drive. Like and subscribe, guys, if you like what we do, and if you got any comments, drop them down below in the questions area, and we'll do our best to answer whatever we can, and we'll show you around this car. We'll take it from there. See you in a bit. So as you can see, the W126 is an absolutely outstanding vehicle, over 5.1 meters long. The SEL version boasted for its time all the tricks and little gadgets that you can imagine. And if we look inside here, look at the size of that steering wheel. Power steering, handbrake, full electrics, all electric windows, automatic gearbox, air conditioning, and even electric mirrors. And even on this this model we had electric seats as well. And if you know about the W126, you'll know that the leather was actually a standard option and the Velo was an additional option, so somebody would have paid extra for these Velo seats. Were known to be quite a nice option to have, far more comfortable than the leather. And going into the back, you can see all curtained out for the rear passengers. may have even be at some point would have been a ride to somebody very special, president or a duke or something like that, you know. Could have been anybody. And curtains on the other side and curtains on the rear window. Beautiful velo with the central armrest. You got footstools there. It's absolutely lovely. Little ashtrays here on the sides of the doors, and electric windows at the back as well. It's absolutely beautiful, really, if you ask me. And this particular car has been given the AMG body kit and is riding on 18-inch monoblock replica wheels, which do look quite nice. So, you know, yep, that's the SEL for you. And what we'll do is we'll take it for a little drive now and see how this thing actually drives. And any questions, drop them in the comments below and we'll take it from there. But they are a very lovely car. I mean, just look at the way that wood goes all the way across. I mean, you've got to think these cars started production in 1979. This particular car is a 1986 model, so you know, it's a fair few years old. So you know, it's not going to have everything the modern cars have, but for its era and for its age, it's quite impressive. So yeah, we'll take it for a drive and we'll take it from there, see what you guys think. Right, so we're taking the SEL for a drive now, and I'm in this seat, and it's very nice and cushy. Feels like one of those sort of 1980s sofa settee types things you used to sit on back in the day when we was kids. Very spacious. Feels like you've got masses of space, and this seat, yeah, electric seat, still has adjustment to go a little bit more back if need be, but the space inside is just unbelievable. It just feels like you're sitting inside a big van or something, but low down. We'll just find a gap here and then we'll pull out and see what this thing's saying. Makes a lot of noise. I think in terms of acceleration, it's not the fastest of cars you'll drive, but takes its time to pull away. But once you're rolling, I mean, we're rolling at 50 now, it's rolling along quite nice. This isn't obviously one of the most powerful versions. It is a V8, but it's a 380 this one, so it's a 3.8 SEL, and it still has a reasonable amount of power, but it doesn't sort of pull away how you'd like it to be compared to some of the sort of more bigger engines in its era. I would have possibly, if it was my choice and I was buying one, would have probably gone for a 500 or a 560 SEL, which were a little bit more powerful, but generally still a nice car. It's got everything else going for it, you know, and I mean, it's had a lot of work done in terms of bodywork and engine work as well. This car has had the injectors redone, the distributor cap removed and changed, and all the HT leads changed to performance leads, and generally as it drives along it does sort of trot along quite nicely, you know, and it's not bad, to be fair. And whilst it's cruising, I mean, it cruises quite comfortably. I mean, this one is actually on lowering springs as well. It's on high-back lowering springs, so the suspension has been changed from factory, but even then it's still comfortable. I wouldn't say it's a hard drive or it feels really rough or anything like that. It feels quite nice, to be fair, and generally, yeah, it's pretty good. And it's a classic car at the end of the day. You're not going to get massive amounts of performance out of it, you know, so it's nice to, if you're quite happy just to stroll along, it's quite nice. It's the sort of interior is quite squeaky, like you can hear a few noises here or there. I don't know if that's developed over time, and obviously because it's an older car, or whether they were always like this, but you can hear sort of bits of trim that are loose, that are sort of just squeaking and crackling, and you know. But I mean, in comparison to, like, let's say the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, in terms of power and acceleration and things like that, this car's miles away, you know. It changes through the gears alright, it's moving through, you know, it's quite nice, and it drives. See, now we're trotting along, we're doing about 55 miles an hour now, and it's okay, it's rolling down quite nice. But generally, yeah, I mean, not something that would be my sort of favourable drive, but if you're not after sort of pulling away really fast, then yeah, it's okay. It's Mercedes auto gearboxes of this era weren't the best anyway. They weren't really quick changing or really reliable and fast shifting. They just sort of take their time and push through. So that's what you're going to get out of this kind of car. And I'm sure anybody else who's got an SEL or drives an SEL or something of this era will agree with me that they're not exactly the quickest off the mark, but they do sort of roll along quite nicely. They will cruise at 50, 60, 70 beautifully and not have an issue. And generally driving down now like this on a country lane, it's quite nice. You don't have to throttle it out, but you know, you don't have to put your foot to the floor, but it still travels along nicely, yeah. But yeah, if you're after a nice classic and you like the SEL, I think sort of visually it's a very pleasing car, and it is quite a popular car at the moment. I've seen prices of the SELs have more or less gone through the roof. I remember when you could buy a very good example of an SE or an SEL in a 500 for £1,000–1,500, but all you'll get for £1,500 to £1,500 to £2,000 now is probably a complete bucket of rust. Anything decent that's been looked after, you'll be looking in excess of £6,000 to £7,000. That's for just a base example, you know. And if you wanted like a 560 in a good example, you're probably talking £12,000. And obviously they did this in the 1000 SEL as well, which if you did manage to find one, it would be whatever the chap who owned it wanted for it. You could put a price on that and it wouldn't matter, because wherever are you going to find another 10-litre Mercedes engine in an SEL? It's going to be absolutely impossible. I did stumble upon one a few years ago, and it was a non-runner, and I did have a think about it, but it was just too much work for me, because I was worried that I'd never find the parts for it, so I gave it a miss. But thinking about it, it was still probably a good investment, looking at where prices have gone now. And one thing with these SELs, the indicator is on the right hand side, so you'll always be looking for it over here, and there's nothing over here. There's only one stalk on these, which is on the right, which controls your window wipers and your indicator, and then obviously there's one up here for your cruise control. But other than that, they're pretty easy to drive. There's nothing complicated about it, and generally it's quite a nice cruiser, you know. It does pull around quite nicely, and accelerates quite well. And yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, if you got any questions, anything you want to know, we're only going to do a short drive in this one today, because the roads are quite busy, so we don't really get a good blast out. But yeah, generally gives us a good idea of how it feels, and it is a nice drive. So, you know, if you got any questions, drop in the comments below. Anything you want to know, let me know. Thank you guys again for watching, and thank you for all your support. And if you've got anything like this classic or anything special that you'd like me to come and review, give me a call. We'll pop down, put it in the comments below, and I'll be in touch, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much for your time, guys. See you soon. Reigns All Performance.